Hi and welcome to my next video. Today I don't have one watch review, no, I have 4 watches to review, but basically it's all in the purpose to answer the question, is San Martin worth the money and do San Martin make good watches? So I want to make a brief overview of each watch and answer the question in the end if the money is well spent, or should you maybe avoid the brand San Martin at all. No sponsoring. All watches are from Yuri, bought from his money and lent for review. So overall it's my personal opinion about this watch. And yeah, let's start with the obvious point. They are all homage watches, so San Martin is 90% just homage watches, and they copy the basically every famous watch design. So yeah, if you are not a big fan of that, skip the video completely, because you will never buy any of these watches. And if you are open to homage watches, stick to the videos. San Martin are making really good watches, but they have their negatives, and I will also show them to you and also give you my opinion about these watches. So we have a Pepsi GMT homage. This is called the SN0019 GMT4. It has a case diameter of 40 millimeter and a case thickness of 12.8, 12.7 millimeter, and the lug to lug of 47.7 millimeters. So it's basically really like the GMT Master from Rolex. Here on the Jubilee style bracelet, and yeah, it looks really cool. There's a small critique on this side, you can see it. It has a small gap here. I don't like this gap. I don't know why they have done it. Maybe they could fix it on the next watch. So that's the first critique I have to answer. The bezel is really great, clicky, and really great sound to it. I will hold it to the microphone. It really feels nice also. The bezel is ceramic and it has also lume applied on the numbers. We have superluminova on the indices and on the applied indices. One critique also. You probably won't see it if you don't have a comparison. But if you have it, or you can see it like I have, the white is not completely white like it is on a Rolex or a comparable model. It has a slightly tinge of yellow in it, and I can show it in direct comparison with my Omega Seamaster. And if you can see it, it's not completely white. It's a small critique, but if you see it, you can't unsee it for me at last. And yeah, I don't like it. It looks a little bit cheap, and I don't like cheap looking watches. But that's just one critique point. No? If you zoom in a little bit, you see that the watch is really great and well made. So there is really no complaint. Sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel. The movement is a Hangzhou 4660 movement. It's a copy movement of the ETA movement made in Chinese. So yeah, basically a matte movement. So it's not that great, but it's great enough to fully function. Price-wise, we are talking about around 400 euros. Exactly, I think 398 euros and 200-meter water resistance, good on crown. And we have a traveler's, no, we have an office GMT. Yeah. But it's working fine. Yeah. You have to consider that it's a Chinese movement, so maybe you will get problem in servicing this watch. But overall, you have to consider that you can easily replace the movement for a new movement if it's broken. So if I would compare this watch to maybe a fashion watch, then yeah, I would probably choose this watch at any time. So let's move on with the watches. We have a lot more to cover. This watch is called, let me check, SN0129 GMT. Also has a GMT movement, but with the other movement inside it. We have an NH35 movement. It's a psycho movement. It's reliable. It's a solid movement, but it's a cheap movement. It's a cheap movement with some plastic parts, and I don't think anyone will service this movement. They will rather, oh, sorry, I haven't noticed that this camera is not focused. Sorry. It's a cheap movement, but yeah, the movement can easily be replaced. Like I mentioned, I don't think anyone will service this watch. That it makes totally no sense, because I think the service cost will outdo the cost of the new movement. So yeah, that's the thing you have to consider. But overall, good design. We have a oyster style bracelet here with a nice taper in it, and we have also on the fly adjustment on the clasp. Yeah, it's also really great. The camera is not zooming in like I would like to. There, I have on the fly adjustment, and yeah, great. Price 309 euros for this watch. Move on to the next watch. We have another famous design. We have a no. We have a submariner homage. This one is called SN019, and it comes in two different movement options. You have the option to get it on the PT5000, or you have the option to go for the SW200 movement. Basically, it's the same movement. PT5000 is made in China, and SW is made from Selita and is a Swiss movement. And if I have the choice, I would always pick the Selita movement if I don't care about money. But if you care about money, I think the PT5000 is totally fine. It's reliable. It also works fine. I think you can see the yellow indices better compared now with this watch, and you can really see what I mean about this yellow nuance on the indices. I don't like it. I wish it would be a little bit more white. Maybe you have more experience than I have. I think it has something to do with money. Maybe it's more expensive to get it completely white superluminova. But yeah, it's bothering me. The bezel is really nice, clicky. It feels great. The case finishing is also very great. Also the dial is made very great. The indices are great made. So yeah, you can see a lot of details in it. The case finishing is superb for the money you are paying. We have also, here we have only micro adjustments. but no on-the-fly adjustment. Maybe there's an upgrade to this watch with an on-the-fly adjustment system, but this one doesn't have anyone. And if you compare it directly to the Rolex Submariner, it has a slightly less tapering of the bracelet than the Submariner has. And let's see, on the wrist, it wears totally fine. Maybe a little bit bigger than the normal Submariner. Let's check the dimensions. Yeah, 12.8 millimeter thickness. Lug to lug distance is around 48.6 millimeter. And yeah, still great looking watch. Price point 319 euros for the PT5000 and 419 for the SW200 movement. So let's get on to the last watch. And I think the last watch is a real banger. This one is an homage on a Grand Seiko watch. And I'm basically not a big fan of big watches, but this one is so well made. It's chunky, yeah. It's big, but look at this bracelet. It's so well made. You have this alternating brushed and polished areas of the bracelet. It really feels thick and sturdy, and it's really well made. Also on the fly clasp, on the fly adjustment on the clasp, and this bracelet, it looks so great. And we're talking about 260 euros for this watch. The bezel action, great. Really, it's really great. The movement is, I dare to say it again, it's really cheap. NH35 movement from Seiko. So yeah, it's the same movement you get with every Pangani design watch you can buy for around 100 euros. So really no exceptional good movement inside it, but it's totally fine. It's reliable, it's cheap, you can easily replace it, so totally fine. 300 meter water resistant, screw down crown, and well made watch for the price. Unbeatable in my opinion. The yellow tinge in the indices still bothering me here, also in this watch. Yeah, they can make it better in my opinion. It's a big critique at every watch I've seen now from them. Maybe you are not bothered like me, but I am. And yeah, rather than that, look at this beauty. It's so well made for 260 euros. Unbelievable. On the wrist, 6 3/4, like I mentioned. And for a 44 millimeter watch, it's wearable. It's big, yes, but it's still wearable, in my opinion. Let's get also some measurements for the ones who are interested in buying this watch. 13.5 millimeter thickness. We have a lug to lug distance of 50.7 millimeters. So yeah, I have a medium sized wrist, but it's so greatly hugging the wrist. It's perfectly fine. And case diameter of 44 millimeters. So a really big watch. But I think this one is the best of the bunch, in my opinion. So let's make also a quick zoom shot of every watch. Let's get a little bit darker. I like the fact that this Pepsi homage has also lume applied on the bezel. I think it looks really great. Great lume. And also the other watches have really nice lume applied on it. So no complaints in this regard. Yeah. Great lume. That's the quintessence. So let's get a little bit brighter again. And let's talk about my conclusion. Overall, I think you have one thing to consider. And please don't compare it to a Rolex or Grand Seiko or the original models they are making homage of. They are better. No doubt they are better. And you also have to appreciate the effort Rolex is making in marketing, so that Rolex is Rolex. So everyone knows Rolex, but nobody knows San Martin. Okay, so San Martin has no marketing, so they can reduce the cost because they don't have to invest in marketing or something like this. And they are really well finished. And there are even also macro shots comparing the case finishing with the case finishing of a Rolex and saying, it's better made than the Rolex. Maybe on the some outer parts, but definitely not on every part, on every nuances and everything. First of all, this is 369 steel, not 904 steel. Second, the indices and the minute hand, hour hands and everything, it's not made of white gold. Like it is on a Rolex Submariner or a Rolex GMT Master. Also, it has not a 3 GMT movement. The movement is not is far superior than the Rolex movement. And like you have seen, the slightly yellow tinge on the Superluminova. It's a complete other branding. Okay, that you should not compare this watch to the Rolex. But if you appreciate the design of this Rolex watch and want a cheap alternative, and you are totally fine with the watch calling San Martin, then I think this watch has really great value. It's not that expensive, but it's also not that cheap. It's exactly there where it should be. 400 euros, I think it's totally fine. You get good quality watch, sapphire crystal, ceramic bezels, good lume on it. The movement is totally fine. It's still working 3-5 years, maybe more years if you don't use it every day. And even if you have to replace the complete movement, it's still a great value. And yeah, that's it. But it is not a Rolex. It will never be a Rolex. And if you want a Rolex, then save your money and buy one. I don't think anyone gets broke. I don't think Rolex gets broke when you buy a San Martin watch. This is obviously a homage on the Pepsi GMT Master, or Grand Seiko will go broke, because the people who are buying San Martin probably will never spend their money for Rolex, because they want some cheap alternative. They appreciate the design, and kudos to Rolex for their design, but they want the design and maybe don't want this exceptional amount of extra money to pay for a better movement inside it, or better nuances in the dial, better nuances on the lube, or something like this. Yeah, it's nuances, and yeah, people are willing to pay for them, I am willing to pay for a real Rolex because I appreciate the design of Rolex. I appreciate the good movement. I appreciate the history and the marketing they are investing. So yeah, everything has its price. But I'm also totally fine for St. Martin making still good homage watches. And I think all these watches are really great for the money. And this is the point, for the money. If you spend a little bit more, you can get better movements, you can get better watches, but for the money you are paying, in this case 400 euros, in other cases 270 euros, they are really great and well finished watches. And the bezel is great, it's really, really good made. And yeah, I recommend it for people who like homage watches. And that's it for the videos. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and if so, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content. I make content of every watch I have in my hands, homage watches, expensive watches, mid-budget watches. I like every watch as long as they are aesthetically pleasing, they are working fine, and yeah, raise the heartbeat of every watch enthusiast. Okay, that's it for today. Goodbye. Stay safe. Until next time. Ciao.